listening to what you've heard so far, I feel like I got nothing. But I'm gonna, for those of you who know me, I'm about to blow a stereotype. Many years ago, I wrote code. Yeah! My first job, I was a Unix systems administrator for a college of engineering. And my boss called me in one day and said, "Do you know what Usenet is?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I want you to watch the comp.sources news groups, and anything you think, you know, the faculty or students might be interested in, I want you to pull it down and build it." Okay. Now I'm doing this for a bunch of AT&T equipment running System 5 Unix Release 2. So I was doing a lot of porting, and this thing came across one day. I'm just going through the news groups. Perl. What? Okay, well, that looks interesting. Pull down all 47 pieces, put it all together, make. Blech. So like 3 days later, I get it to compile in our environment. And I packaged up all the diffs, all the changes, sent them back to the guy. And then the next release came out. And it said, you know, 3v2 port, you know, Wes Morgan. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Got an email from some guy in like Bulgaria. He was like, "Oh, thanks so much for doing that." I didn't think anything else about it. Okay? I'm going to fast forward about 10 years. Working with a little company named DataBeam. And one of my sidekicks is doing some work with the Apache web server. And he had to write a module to do something for some project. And I said, "Hey, you ought to send that in. You know, somebody else might be able to use that." And he's like, "Hey, it's not a bad idea." And he'd already been doing some stuff with Perl too, with the Perl archive network. I didn't think anything else of it. I'm going to fast forward another 10 or 12 years. My daughter walks up to me and says, "Dad, I want to do the teen pageant." And of course, my first thought was, yeah, you're going to need a dress, aren't you? But she goes, "There's a talent portion, and I can only, you know, they're only giving me," and it was like 2 minutes. "And I've got a song, I know what I want to do, but I gotta chop it up." I said, "Oh, okay, you know, give me the CD." So I loaded it up on my Linux box, I ran Audacity, we sat there, we hacked up the MP3, got it to where we wanted. She goes, "Oh, and I'm supposed to do a vocal sheet." So I fired up MuseScore and just, you know, knocked out a quick vocal sheet, shot it out to PDF. "Yeah, here you go." And she's like, "Oh, Daddy, you're the greatest." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll take that." And my eyes fell on my bookshelf, where my copy of the Camel book is sitting. And I'm like, wow, there's a continuity there that I had never realized. Because what we were doing on Usenet, and I had stopped doing, other people had picked up. Other people had expanded. Because if you don't know those software packages I mentioned, they're all open source. So, this thing has grown. Perl is now an institution. It's in the marketplace. It's in version 1. It's been around forever, okay? Which tells you how old I am. And I realized the guy I was talking about, my sidekick who had been, you know, chewing up the Apache web server, he's now on the board of the Apache Software Foundation, okay? So, I'm sure a lot of you were like, unsought and unexpected, what does that mean? Everybody here is telling you these challenges. My point is, you may have a challenge staring you in the face that you don't realize. Because what I realized after that experience with my daughter and seeing this 25-year stretch of time as a single thing, while I no longer write code, I can now be a beta tester. I can now go open bug reports. You know, I may not be able to write the code anymore, but I can still play the game. So, my advice to you It doesn't have to be some earth-shattering event. It can be. It doesn't have to be a bucket list thing, although it could be. But I'm willing to bet that every one of you has a challenge waiting to be met. You're not looking for it, it's unsought. You're not expecting it, but I'll bet it's there. So keep your eyes open.